Okay, so it's gonna be like medium-ish video, but I will be explaining the tier list that I made inside the uh, Discord server here. As you can see, I will not be explaining the uneven one, as honestly, all you really need to do is go for Trunks on the banner, and then if you have a friend with a Rift, or you can join Rifts, and you get lucky and get Gogeta, you're pretty much set with these two characters for right now, since these two are the best. Now, onto the Evo tier list. The reason why Gogeta is at the top of the tier list is simply because he's cheap, he's multi-hit, he does really good damage, and he hits fast, and he has good range. Now, I know there's some people gonna be complaining about Vegito being this low, but this is for progressive, which means stuff like trials, dungeons, raids, invasions, and rifts. Yes, Vegito is a good boss killer. He does damage, and he also has a really good support passive. Downside is he costs too much. Goku alone, well, these two, since they're one unit, cost 60,000, about 60,000, and Vegeta himself is 40,000, which is together is 100,000, so they're roughly age and number. Gogeta, on the other hand, is literally half of that. He's roughly around 50k. And Gogeta only has a really good passes to where he stuns. He's immune to stun himself. He also gets more damage, and then he also has this. I think his third one is a fully restun. It doesn't work right now, but he does gain damage. His his stunning fully we doesn't work, and then his fourth passive doesn't work at all right now. But once it does work, it it means so he does 30% damage every time he attacks, and he also attacks the armor and shield. My friend Fade's Outlaw Gogeta does about 55,000 damage, and then 30% of that is like 71,000. So Gogeta is an absolute monster when it comes to progressive. Trunks on placement has rewind, already good. He has low SPA, and he does solid damage. The only downside is once you max him out, does he get up to that 6 SPA mark, which you really don't want to hit for progressive, in my opinion. Since progressive, you really want to be at below the 6, like 5 and 4 is where you want to be. You can get away with being at 6 or 7 SPA if you full AoE, or you have a really big circle or cone or line. And then Sun Jin Woo, obviously, if you play solo leveling update, I know a lot of people didn't like him because he's really hard. Well, he's not really hard. He's just annoying to get because you need to evolve Egress, and Egress is an infinite pity. I mean, infinite nightmare unit. But what Sun Jin Woo does is that he does summon back the enemy he killed at their full HP, but it's a 5% chance to do it. And his last passive is the one that carries him the most, is that he does instantly execute, well, not instantly, he executes all enemies below 15% HP. He's really good for that alone. And he's also cheap. All three guys are cheap. They're roughly around the 50k mark. Estarossa is only up here simply because he's a slow unit, and if you do have him, you're mostly gonna be running him, especially if you're running duos or trios. A slow unit is really helpful, and Zamasu is up here simply because he does a lot of damage, like a stupid number, like a stupid amount of damage, and he's not cheap because he's around at I think the 60k mark, but but his range and his passes make up for it. Meliodas got pushed off of here because of Trunks. Melly's still incredibly good. He's still by far one of the best units to get as a starter. And Beirut is only up here because of Sun Jin Woo. If you're running Beirut, that means you're running Sun Jin Woo. So these since Beirut has the Hunter passive, and you're not running Egress because Egress is horrible. Bond's up here because Bond is just a cheaper Beirut, and you don't need to run Sun Jin Woo. And that's about it. Diamond Goku is still up here, some because he does outrageous amounts of damage, and and his crit passive. Goku Black would be higher if his third passive was better, but because it's not, he's this low, and yes, he does need a buff, in my opinion. Vegito, a terrific, he's a really good unit, really good for Infinite. Now, coming to Vegeta, even though he's a release unit like Daima, but Daima is a nightmare secret. Vegeta is still really good because of his passes. Vegeta Blue expands upon it, and it's literally just a stronger version of Vegeta. But essentially, Vegeta does more damage the higher HP the enemies are. So it's really good for placement. Julius is up here because his second passive, where he has a chance to attack again. That's dumb, honestly. That's really stupid, especially if you have Outlaw on him or Emperor, where he's doing like big numbers, like the 40,000s to about 50k, and then his SPA is about 6-7. So you can bypass that and just hit again. And if you get really lucky and you just hit it like constantly back to back to back, and then yeah, he's a DPS monster. Janima needs buffs. This guy needs to get his cost lowered. Only reason Goku, in my opinion, costs as much as he does is because you're paying for two units at once. So roughly, there should be about 30k each, and then Vegeta comes out to the 40k. There's no reason Janima should be 108,000 at all. Next comes Shaw. She's okay. She does the true damage passive that Gogeta does, but that also doesn't work at all. And the rest of the units, I don't really need to talk about much besides Ukleora. Ukleora does have the unique passive of make an enemy take more damage. And that's the only reason why I would ever recommend using him. The other ones not so much. He does okay range and he has decent damage and like decent SPA. And now I know a lot of people confused as to why Ichigo is down here at unusable, and that's because he was not designed well in my opinion. He needs a rework because there is no reason you should ever use this character at all. He he does okay damage, but he has no range, and and his SPA is too high for him to use, and his slow passive doesn't even work either. And coming down to supports, if you're only ever gonna use Merlin if you're gonna run a team, I am gonna show in a few minutes, but Merlin does I think give it 10% damage, 10% range boost for like a few seconds. That's about it. And it's global cooldown, so you can't like keep it up all the time because you can place 3 Merlins. Yeah, she needs a buff and a rework. I get it, she's a BP, a battle pass unit, and she shouldn't be like too good, but Edward is an amazing battle pass unit, and these two just pale in comparison to him. The only reason these two are above him is because they have more damage, and that's quite literally it. Kaiba's the moneymaker. I don't really gotta talk much about that. But on to team building. Now, the most important part about Anime Infinity is links. Some of you don't know how links work at all, and that's fine. I will be teaching you. Basically, as you can see here, Sanjiru does have the Hunter, Protagonist, and Charismatic Leader link. Now, you may be wondering why these two are highlighted red, and that is because he shares these two links with Meliodas over here, who has Sin, Protagonist, and Charismatic Leader. Now, as you can tell by the numbers here, he gains increased stats for the link being activated. Now, what you want to do is design a team so that way you can have the characters have the most amount of links activated at once, and it's the characters that you act on the links activated for. Like, for example, if you're running a infinite team and you just don't go pure DPS, and let's assume these guys are all Emperor Outlaw units, this right here is a nasty team setup for pure DPS, since all these guys hit hard and they hit pretty fast too. Another team set we can do, which revolves around actually using Sun Jin Woo, and this is more of a progressive team, but you can do something like this. Your main unit of this is gonna be Sun Jin Woo. You place him down and you upgrade him, and that's pretty much it. Because Sun Jin Woo's crit passive, crit link would help him tremendously, and his passes. And if you really need help shield breaking, you have Meliodas you can place down, and Meliodas is still good despite his nerf he got during the Soul Leveling update. And if you really feel like farming, you can farm and place down the Beru. Since Beru does really good damage and he's full AoE, same thing with Julius. And Julius does provide the entire team from minus 10% SPA buff, which is really nice for the high SPAs, like Trunks and Vegito. Another team setup you can run is something like this, where you use Gogeta, Trunks, Zamasu, Goku Black if he ever gets buffed, and Merlin. You can run a team like this, as as you can see, the main four all have the links activated, and this is mainly what you want. And then Merlin is here for the buff that she does provide with the 10% damage, 10% range. Now, these are just some of the few teams that you can actually run. Obviously, you're probably coming with better teams than what I can think of. But I would like to say again that links are a massive part about this game. Your units will not be doing nearly as much damage as other people's units are if you don't have your links upgraded and activated. And again, your links are activated once you see them turn red. So for example, Me Melly comes back on the team at first slot and Sunjamu, and boom, as you can see, these bottom team are red. Now, in order to see your link actually activate at the bottom, you can see a little red circle appears on them. That means the link is activated, as you can see here. Now, if you if they don't have corresponding links at all, like I don't know, that guy does. Yeah, try and find one that doesn't have one. Alright. See, as I equip him, the red circle doesn't appear, but if I equip Igris, the red circle does appear. And I will be showing you how to upgrade links as well, because I'm assuming some of you guys don't know how to do that. Basically, what you want to do is come here to Infinity Quest. You could get lucky and get Nightmare and Impossible quests that drop Rainbow Link Orbs. These are important as these get your links up to 9 and 10, which 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 10 is the max, and you always want your links to be at 10. Gold Shop also sells them for here, and also Infinity tickets. I would not recommend buying this unless you spend like a lot of money on the game to get gems, or you're constantly macroing for gems, so that way you can keep up your gold supply. But gold is a very annoying thing in this game to get, because you get barely any from summoning, and you don't get a lot from playing the actual maps at all. And now you do get the blue and purple link orbs from Essence Trials, as you can see here. What what I would recommend you doing is, if you can macro, you get Sanjiru, Meliodas, Trunks, or Gogeta, and then you pick these two right here. Anyone, eh, anyone works. Put on Nightmare, and you just place it on. Preferably Trunks, because Trunks only costs 500, and he's cheap too, and he just bullies the trials. Or if you do have Meliodas and or Sunjamu, you could come down here to the Light Trial and just use them here. He does stun though, so be careful. So I would recommend using Meliodas over that. And now you see over here to the right of the play area, you see Meliodas is with link leveling. You come here, select a unit, select like this. This is awesome. As you can see, I have 5 ring link orbs and about 400 blue link orbs. If I level up, it goes up, and then once I go up to 9 here, you can see he uses theory here if I want to max out his tyrant passive. So yeah, that is the explanation on the tier list part. Oh, a side note, Vegito is in meta for infinite tier list. And yes, infinite and progressive are different. I just like to I'll say that again. But yes, this is the tier list and also the team building part. So that way you understand how links work, and so that way your units are stronger and you manage to clear out the dungeon trials and raids a lot faster. Oh, also a little bit. If you do want to trade reroll farm, it is nightmare raids. Once this gets fixed, it's a confirmed drop of both of these at the same time, and time rings, which you can come here and just spend in the shop. Only downside is that it is gonna take you a lot of gems to do it, but it is worth it in my opinion since we don't have trade pit anymore. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the video.